All right, guys. Well, are the Yankees going to win the AL East? Are they not going to win the AL East? I feel like I'm really not trying to go about this every single day. We're really trying to avoid that, being the title. I mean, you could just tell. The title says, okay, question mark. Can the Yankees actually steal the AL East? I'm kind of sick of this. Shit or get off the pot at this point. Like, it's insane. All jokes aside, I'm glad, right? I'm glad that the Yankees won today, obviously. I had no doubts they were going to win today. I thought I thought Sugano, they were going to get after. I had him giving up 6 runs last night. In what a weird episode that was, but we'll get into that, Gary. But yeah, I had him giving up 6 runs and he gave up 4 and then they took him out. I had Judge hitting a home run because he had a 2,200 OPS against Sugano.
Nice call.
Thank you. And I also had Grisham hitting a home run, and he did not do that. But Stanton did, and they're 50-7 when those two hit home runs together. So it's pretty incredible when you think about it. But, man, Kansas City, they are playing spoiler right now. They are playing spoiler when it comes to the Blue Jays. And, I mean, hey, if you haven't been paying attention, they're not the only ones. Have you guys seen the Guardians? Have you guys seen the Tigers? There is a real possibility, Gary. I actually want to talk about this first.
Yeah.
There's a real possibility that Tarek Skubal doesn't pitch in the postseason. And that is one of the pitchers that absolutely stifles the Yankees every time. We mentioned it, him and Crochet.
Yes.
So I know people like to, they're thinking in terms of their team and the Yankees. And I'm thinking a little bit more outside the box. And I'm looking over at this Detroit Tigers team that's lost 8 of their last 10. I'm looking over at the Guardians, and I don't know how the hell they've done it, but they've won 9 out of their last 10. And I'm starting to see a wicked collapse here, and I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying this is set in stone. But you can see right now, it is an avalanche, and basically, the Tigers are going to have to figure it out, because if they don't, Cleveland's going to win that division, and then the Tigers are going to have to beat out potentially the Yankees, the Blue Jays, the Red Sox, the Mariners, the Astros. All those teams are going to be in the thick of it. I would not pick the Tigers to be one of the final 3, and that is a crazy thing to say, but that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, and also you said something that really stuck out to me, and I didn't want to hear it at the time because the timing of it I felt was a little off. But now that we're currently sitting here, Toronto's lost 4 games in a row. The Yankees, they've won 7 in their last 10. And mind you, they didn't play the best teams, but we went through that gauntlet that they called it, and we survived. We did. And what's so interesting about it is we laid an egg against Detroit, and people said, well, the Yankees may be playing good baseball overall, but they're not going to win this division. That's the problem, right? And they also said another problem is they don't trust the Yankees against a lot of these contenders that we listed. Some of those teams, the first team was Toronto. We thought Toronto deserved a ton of credit. They've played us well all year, and we finally threw a punch back in the last time we played them. But Boston, right? That Boston series, we played well again. Boston's played us well all year. Boston's won 5 of their last 10. Toronto Blue Jays have lost 4 straight. And even if they win the division, they're not playing their best baseball at the end of the season. And Jake, I will say, when you talked about momentum and just being the hot team at the end, which team is hot that we'd run into right now? It's not Toronto. It's not Boston, right? I don't know. You assume that Toronto, they don't play Tampa well overall.
Yeah.
Over the course of the season, they're playing Tampa. Before the end of the season, they're playing Boston. So when you look up and you see a 2-game lead for Toronto, still somewhat formidable because we have to pass them. It's not just 2 games. We've got to make up 3. They have the tiebreaker. But having said all this, you afraid to run into Detroit, who's lost 5 straight games in mid to late September? Probably not. Now, Tarek Skubal, we are worried about him. There's no question.
Of course.
But I would probably say right now the hottest team in baseball is Cleveland. Do they have a roster that scares you? No, absolutely not. There's not one person in here who's like, yeah, I'm terrified of Cleveland. Cleveland is just playing a good brand of baseball right now. not overly talented, and talent will matter in October. So they're a threat, but not the most threatening. So, Jake, it kind of goes back to what you said from the very beginning, is that the Yankees just have to be better than a bunch of good. And that's what we're about to run into. And I will say, when you say a team's going to win the World Series, I think people take in that statement and they say, you're calling us a great team. Not really. No. Making it to the World Series a lot of times can be circumstantial. Look at the Yankees last year. Did you feel like it was the best Yankees team you'd seen in 15 years? Probably not.
I think this team would beat it, truthfully.
You could argue that this team would beat last year's team, but regardless of what you think of this year's team, isn't that what everyone said last year? Is, well, you played Cleveland and Cleveland had a closer who was struggling. They weren't playing great baseball. And you played Kansas City to get to the World Series. They mention our circumstances. Why do people refuse to talk about circumstances this year? Well, if we started getting through the AL and you started to realize, oh, the Yankees are in the championship series, let's say, and they make it through to the World Series, people are going to conclude that we didn't really play anyone great, and they'd be right. And that's something, Jake, that you've brought up all year long. So I'm interested to see. Not all these teams are just going to lose all the way to the end of the season. Someone's going to get some type of momentum. It could be Boston, who plays Toronto. It could be Toronto, who's got to throw a punch back. We're going to find out a lot over these last 7 games of the season, but there's still some ball game to be played for this division. We've got to just win out and make Toronto go take it.
Yeah, and it's really important to note here. When it comes to the Yankees, they need, again, I've said this, you've said this, I just want to reiterate. 2 games behind looks great, right? But it's actually 3.
Yep.
So the Yankees do need a lot of help. Like, I'm not sitting here and saying they don't. And that's part of why I got so pissed off the other night when they lost to the Orioles, because right now they'd be 1 game back, 2 games with the tiebreaker. And to be honest with you, that would feel very real. It's starting to feel somewhat real, but there is still a steep hill to climb here. They're going to need the Red Sox to step up, but they also have to take care of business against bad teams. The Yankees have done that. But when you're playing against a team that has nothing to lose, quite literally nothing more to lose, and everything to gain because they're playing for pride, these guys are playing for a job next year. You want to be on a team next year? You're playing for a job. If you're on the White Sox... Would you say
we need 6 of 7?
Yeah.
6 of 7, and if you win 6 of 7...
trying to win out, though. I mean, that's
really... of course. Of course, that's the goal. You should be, at the very least, looking at 6 of 7 the rest of the way. And now we've just talked about you've got to make up those 3 games. Well, that means Toronto has to lose 3 games, right?
Yeah.
It would be 4, I believe. So Toronto, they don't have to lose out the rest of the season for this to happen. But if we can win 6 of 7 against really bad baseball teams, and they're just not good, well, then you can make the argument you should be rooting for Boston this upcoming week.
Absolutely.
You're rooting for the Red Sox to go take care of business against Toronto, because if they do that and we win 6 of 7, Boston can't catch us. It's all a matter of Toronto. And I'll tell you right now, Girardi, they actually brought up something on the broadcast today that I wanted to bring to the show. And I thought it was wildly interesting. They talked about the concept of if the Yankees are a half game behind and you're in a do or die game, in the regular season, if you win today, then you win the division. Do you pitch your ace? Do you pitch a Max Fried? And the reason he brought up the conversation is because if you throw Max Fried and you lose that game, you now have been kicked down to the basement in the wild card, which isn't the end of the world. But what could be the end of the world is the fact that Max Fried is no longer ready to pitch game 1 of the wild card. So I thought it was an interesting premise, but they concluded that we would just pitch the best guy we've got available.
Yeah.
And then if it doesn't work out in the back end, you try and get out of the wild card any means necessary. I thought that was the correct decision. Jake, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, right now, Gary, they already know everybody that's pitching, right? So this is the interesting thing. The way it looks right now is that Fried is going to pitch on the 24th. That's his last start. So he'll be ready, right? I know it's a theoretical, but he'll be ready. So I wanted to bring it up because I think the Yankees are in prime position where if they do have to, God forbid, be in the wild card, and right now, I mean, they're favorites to be the wild card, right?
Yes.
But you have Schlittler tomorrow. Love that, by the way, against Kyle Bradish. I mean, you have to feel good about winning 3 out of these, especially tomorrow. Then you have Heel against Shane Smith. That's a tough matchup. Shane Smith's a very good pitcher. Chicago, aside from him, no idea who's pitching. They don't know who's pitching. Then you have Max Fried against, whoever, NA, not applicable. Then Will Warren against Martin. And then you have Rodon on the 26th, Gary. Schlittler, Heel. So if you're following along, and this is interesting because Warren is going before Rodon. I think they reconfigure this, obviously.
Okay.
The 29th, I believe, is the first wild card game, or is it the 30th?
I can pull it up right now.
I think it's the 30th because that's like the only one I can actually.
It is the 30th. That is correct.
Yes.
Yep.
Because of course I fly to LA the next day. So we're hoping they're not in the wild card because I want to be a part of this, obviously. Anyway, so September 30th, AL wild card game 1. It looks like it's all the wild card, right? So that would be Fried. And then Rodon could easily pitch October 1st on a Wednesday because his last start would be the 26th.
Right.
So then at that point, if there is a game 3, who do you think they go to? Because Schlittler comes after Rodon right now in the rotation.
Probably Heel.
You think they'd skip Schlittler and go with Heel? I do too. I actually do. I think they would go with Heel. But I also wouldn't be surprised if it was like desperate times, call for desperate measures type of thing, and you did see Schlittler come out of the pen in some capacity in that game.
Sure. I mean, I don't think they're going to... You shouldn't worry about the division series and what you're teeing up because it kind of reminds me a lot of what Buck Showalter did in Baltimore, where Zach Britton was sitting in their bullpen, and he was the super reliever at the time, and he mentioned, I didn't bring him in the game because if we took a lead later on, we needed him. Well, long story short, you never saw Zach Britton. He never got to pitch, and they were eliminated, and now you go into the winter. Well, good job protecting Zach Britton. That's not going to work. In this situation, the Yankees, part of your punishment in going to the wild card is you don't get to tee up who starts what game and when. You should be worried about winning every single game one at a time. And if you're making a choice between regular season, do we go for it, try to win a division? I think you have to do that any day of the week. That should be the nature of how you're going in October, and not just saying, what if it doesn't work? Well, if you're going to play the game of what if it doesn't, I promise you will be at the winter meetings saying, how do we get ourselves from out of the division series to a World Series contender again? That's just not how you do business. So I would probably venture to say Luis Heel will get the ball in a game 3 scenario. And in the off chance that, yes, you have to throw with Cam Schlittler, maybe the opener of the division series, are the Yankees really that worried about that decision? I don't think they are.
No, I mean, look, I understand, people will say what they will. Everybody's gonna have a different opinion, right? And that is the great thing about sports debate, is that there are different stances for different reasons. But I just, to me, I would rather be at a disadvantage in the next round because I got to the next round than be like, oh, well, he would have been able to pitch if we made it.
No. That's your punishment for having not won the division. If you want to throw your ace for game 1 of a division series, that is ideal, right? I mean, the Jays, if we played them in a potential series, they want to throw their ace. We want him throwing game 1. We want our 2 throwing game 2. Just pretty obvious there. But if you don't win your division, you don't get that choice. That's what you forfeit. It's not just all things are equal. So I want people to realize that things are going to be wonky. If we end up a wild card team, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. It's going to get ugly. And there's going to be a time where the Yankees are going to say, we need something out of Cam Schlittler tonight. This has to work. Luis Gil, this has got to work, right? You're going to have to start going down the line of your rotation and say, I need a big start from this guy. And maybe this isn't exactly what we would have wanted. We would like this start to be Rodon, Fried, maybe a Garrett Cole if he were healthy, but that's not the situation you teed yourself up for. It's our punishment for having not played good baseball in the summer, unfortunately.
Yep, and this is currently...
I miss this.
Isn't it like, brackets are cool, man. I don't care what anyone says. So this is the bracket if the season ended today. And
weird to see Seattle in the 2 spot.
It's bizarre, right? That just occurred too, right? Because and you can already see this is the craziest thing. The AL is going to be fun to watch as we wind down here. Because that, ladies and gentlemen, that C is not an H. The Houston Astros, if the season ended today, would miss the playoffs. That is crazy.
That's wild because people were asking me what I thought of Houston.
I'm not scared of Houston
around the break. And I thought Houston would probably finish somewhere around the spot that Detroit's currently sitting in right now. Somewhere around the 3 spot. Mm-hmm. Not deadly, not scary, none of that. And who knows? Maybe we end up, if Cleveland continues to play great baseball, we may end up seeing them in the 5 spot, in the wild card. And that's not what you want necessarily. You don't want to run into the team that had an avalanche to get in October. That's not what you want to see. So let's hope. I think perfect scenario for the Yankees obviously is winning the division, and you just know if Toronto falls into the wild card, they're eliminated in the wild card. They're done. Absolutely hosed, because you're falling back now, and you're more than likely going to run into a team that squeaked into the postseason playing great baseball. That's not who you want to play, and that's the danger of getting into that March Madness style of baseball. So I can't wait for this. True. I'm actually really excited about the NL as well. I am. I think this whole postseason bracket, everyone has an opportunity to win the World Series this year. Probably except for Cleveland, I would say. I don't see a world where the Cleveland Guardians win. I know it's a great story.
I don't think this would be the Cleveland Guardians roster that did it.
No, so I would probably say Cleveland cannot win a World Series. I guess we've seen Detroit. You don't think they can? Okay. I would probably say the Mets cannot win a World Series.
They cannot.
I would probably say, Mets and Guardians are the 2 teams I'm like, they don't have even a shot in hell.
The Mets aren't even going to make the playoffs. They're currently there, but I don't know if you noticed, the Reds are a game back. They're actually, they're winners of 4 straight. The Mets.
Yeah, I watched the Mets lost today. 10. It was quite entertaining.
Yeah. I don't know what the Giants did. They were on a tear, and now they're awful. The Marlins, I don't know if you saw, they have to win out, and they need a lot of help, but the Marlins still have a shot. They've won 9 of their last 10.
Oh, I guess it's a good thing they hung on to Alcantara, huh?
I don't know about that one, but...
I know.
Yeah, St. Louis, no. They're 3 of their, they're 3 and 7 in the last 10. San Francisco's 3 and 7 in the last 10. Arizona and Cincinnati, they're right there. I don't think the Mets make it. I just don't. I think there's too much time. And the Mets are a sinking ship that's like, they're doing everything they can that's on aboard the sinking ship to stay afloat. But eventually, we know what sinking ships do. They sink. And I don't see it. And say they make it, it would be a waste of a spot, in my opinion. I think Cincinnati would be intriguing to me. But, yeah, they're both bad on the road, though. So I think the Dodgers easily win the series.
So I think it's safe to say if you're a wild card team, and especially if you're a lower-seeded wild card team, if you don't play well on the road, you might as well just pack your bags and Amazon Prime yourself to vacation. You're done.
Absolutely.
You don't have a chance.
Cabo it is.
Yep.
Right to Cabo.
Yep.
No, I agree with that. And then, who is it? The Pirates? Not the Pirates. The Padres. Padres aren't a good road team either. They're
and San Diego's playing bad baseball. They're going to finish somewhere around 88, 89 wins. That's not a good finish.
See, that Cubs team's interesting, man.
Do you know actually what the Padres' biggest problem is too? Is their offense. They can't score.
That's so wild to me.
Tatis, Machado, right? They bring in some guys at the deadline. You're like, oh, I didn't expect them to bring in a bat. I know they needed a left fielder. People flirted with the idea. Do they go get a Grisham? No, they went and traded from one from Baltimore. Well, San Diego cannot score. They can. Chicago can. So I would imagine San Diego will be packing their bags early. But, I mean, the Dodgers are getting a cookie in the first round. You run into the Mets, that's a joke. If the Reds don't run you down, that's a joke of a series.
But, like, nobody there can win on the road. Everyone's below 500. So the Dodgers are getting a team that can't play on the road.
Correct.
So, like, that's an easy one. You advance them, whatever. The Cubs-Padres, that series could be insane. I think the Cubs would win right now.
Did you see how bad, by the way, the Mets are on the road? I know you knew they weren't good on the road.
They're horrendous.
13 games under 500.
31 and 44.
That is barbaric.
And then you look at, the rest, and I mean, we're talking about the Milwaukee Brewers have a chance at 100 wins.
And they've been awesome the whole year.
They've been great. They're fun baseball to watch. They're 11 games over 500 on the road. Obviously, they take care of business at home, 51-27. But the Phillies have the same amount of wins, 51 and 24. They're just not as great on the road, although they are above 500. They're, in a lot of respects, the Phillies are kind of similar to that of. I think they're similar to the Yankees. I just think that they've won more games. Obviously, they've won more games, but I think they've done a better job at closing out those one-run games. So,
I have a quick question, though, when it comes to Toronto, because I think that's probably the most important development when it comes to the Yankees' chances.
Yeah.
Is what version of the Toronto Blue Jays are you getting? Now, this is the pro and con of the Blue Jays having a somewhat tough schedule to end the season. There are pros and cons. So hang with me here. If they have a tougher schedule and the Yankees have a T-ball schedule and the Yankees win out and you surpass them, you make up those 3 total games you have to break the tiebreaker, you win the division, okay, well, hooray. Now Toronto's screwed. But also, here's how it can work against the Yankees. Toronto is pretty much forced right here at the end of the season to figure out if they're going to have momentum or not. Well, if they do play Boston well, you have to imagine, that was the question I was going to ask, is if Toronto plays in that series against Boston, they play well, and they finally get to throw another punch back and it lands, does it change how you view Toronto? Or are you just looking at them purely from a standpoint of roster construction? Because you mentioned playing your best baseball at the end of the season. Technically speaking, they would be playing good baseball at the end of the year if they play well in that Boston series. So I was curious to know what you would think of them if we run into the Blue Jays after they take care of Boston.
It's an interesting one. The problem is with the Blue Jays, they don't have a good rotation right now. I don't think the rotation can match up to the Yankees. Gosman, you have to win that game because he's pitching very well for you. And Shane Bieber's pitching well. And Trey Yesevich, I might have butchered the guy's name, but he just made his debut, I believe, and he pitched really well, like 9 strikeouts. No one was really talking about it. But Chris Bassett just went on IL. That's a huge loss. In addition to that, Max Scherzer is 41. This dude is decrepit by the end of the season. He was pitching well at times this season, but he's starting to fall off. So I just look at it like the Yankees have one of the best rotations in baseball. And I saw today, by the way, they technically, statistically have the best 1-2 punch in the rotation. They're the only team that has 2 starting pitchers with an ERA below 3.30. They have 2, Rodon and Fried. So I think that's the ass kicker right there for the Yankees.
So you feel like our starting pitching is essentially basically the card we've got in our back pocket is that we've got this brand of starting pitching that you just don't have. Now, some of these teams, and I think Detroit is one of them, where they've got one asset in their rotation where you're like, all right, well, we don't have anything for that. We've got great, but not that level, right?
Yeah.
And we don't have Scooble. And we're not going to pretend we do. But what do you have behind that? Is Mize someone that can dominate a postseason series? Probably not.
He's
right?
good, but I don't know if he's that
he's
good.
good. Certainly good. But same deal with Toronto. It would be interesting, by the way, if I'm curious to see, and I'm not going to say anything one way or the other about Bieber in that October series, because it would be interesting to see if the Yankees essentially are eliminated by 2 deadline pickups. Remember, guys, we essentially lost the World Series last year because of the development of having Jack Flaherty on the Dodgers roster. If they didn't have him, they don't make the World Series. They just don't. And the Yankees said, oh no, he's too banged up. We don't want him. He ends up on the World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers. Bieber, on the other hand, we were never in the mix for, but he also was dealt at the deadline. And
Also
people said,
injured.
oh, also injured. And they're like, I wonder why they would deal with him. He's going to be ready in the second half, but what do you expect from him in the big games? And they said, well, we understand the risk. We're willing to take that risk. So I'm curious to see what version of him they get. It's a question mark. It's not just simply a solution. They know what they're getting. They don't know what they're getting. So I'm curious to see how that goes. I'm not surprised at all if I see Max Scherzer on the mound in October. Is he formidable enough of a career to say we need to respect this game? Absolutely. But if you run into him in October and you can't beat Max Scherzer, who's 40 years old plus, well, you don't deserve to go beat anybody. So I would probably say the most important development for the Yankees is how are they going to handle Toronto's offense if they get there? How are you going to manage that series? And you're going to be on the road for that series more than likely. But Jake, I know we held off on this division pursuit. You mentioned this 2 or 3 days ago. You said, I don't really want to make a title about this. And then they just lose 2 straight. And it's like, why do we even waste our breath? But now that we're here, 2 games back in the division, Toronto has to play good baseball to win the division now. It's not just the Yankees are out of time. No, Toronto is now forced to play the Red Sox and play well. Otherwise, they're back down in the basement with us. And we get promoted up to the top floor. So that right there, it would guarantee, Jake, you're involved in the first round. That'd be awesome.
That would be awesome. And obviously, I think regardless if the Yankees are in the wild card or not, I think they're going to the World Series and representing the AL. And people will call me crazy, but I don't understand how that's crazy. Like, I'm just being honest here. This isn't even a homer thing. The Yankees have the 2nd most wins in the AL, only behind the team that is falling off a cliff. So therefore,
it's just a stat.
If the Yankees pass the Blue Jays, oh my God, they would have the most wins in the same league that I'm saying they would be representing in the World Series. I don't see how that's crazy. So
look at that. We got Guy believing. Welcome in, Guy.
Appreciate
really
you,
appreciate
Guy.
that. And Jordan Richard with the 2. Appreciate the super. Jordan says Volpe's trying to do his Caballero impression. Now, mind you guys, Anthony Volpe looked pretty decent today offensively, which is, again,
looked a hell of a lot better than Ryan McMahon.
It is better than Ryan McMahon offensively. But you have to keep in mind why the Yankees lost last year. Strictly fundamentals. Ryan McMahon is a solution to that. Now, we would have rather had someone who's great at both offense and defense at the price that we're paying. Some people will say, no, this is how much defense costs. Premier defense. Okay. I'll surrender that. I really don't have a problem with it. But when it comes down to October and you see some clutch at bats and Ryan McMahon happens to get up there with a man on third, less than 2 outs, there has to be a baseline level of expectation for you to do a job. You can't just be a non-professional baseball player offensively and then be a Hall of Fame level defensive player. You have to be formidable on both sides of the ball if we're going to win anything. You can't just be this defensive anchor who waits on everybody else to hit. So I'm looking forward these next 7 games. Ryan McMahon's got to do something worth a poot. He just does. Anthony Volpe is getting some level of positive momentum, something going in the direction where you say, okay, if he finds his way on the field, he's at least seen some baseballs hit the grass these last several weeks, right? Caballero, they're finding ways to put him on the field. And now no one thinks they're the starting shortstop. Who's the starting shortstop of the Yankees right now? Nobody. Yeah. And that's a beautiful thing. I think that's exactly where we should be. with this
Absolutely.
roster, and I think it's the best thing for Volpe. So let's see what he does with it.
No, I completely agree on that end, without a doubt. And I think when it comes to Caballero, like, he has so many different hats he can wear. He doesn't have to be Volpe's, replacement or whatever. If Volpe plays well, right, Caballero can play any position that's not catcher or first base. So if they have to get him in there, he has more flexibility than anybody.
They showed that actually with Caballero at third base. They showed that earlier this week, and it surprised us. It was actually something we didn't consider. We talked about Rosario. We talked about other players on the bench.
Of course.
But they threw Caballero at third base, and we said, oh, interesting. So this is what it could look like when we see a lefty. You run into a Scooble. You run into a Crochet. If Volpe is actually doing something worth a damn, okay, well, good for him. We'll put you out there for a day. And if you don't play well, you don't have a spot tomorrow. But we'll put you at shortstop. We can find a spot for Caballero regardless, because Ryan McMahon isn't that good of a bat right now. No one has a starting job. And by the way, Jake, I do see this in the comment section. I think this is very interesting. Maybe an angle that we haven't thought about. Now, Apex with the 2 says Yarby has to pitch against Toronto in the ALDS. Now, I appreciate this, Apex. Thank you for the super. I want to bring something to you, Jake, because I've really thought about this. I know I just previously said you can't play your players with eyes on the next round, but here's the importance of Yarby in any series is that he can go length. He's really teed up to start games. He's able to start games for the Yankees and be fine. Is he going to be an ace? No. But here's the value in Yarby. He can actually get outs at a high clip, good enough to pitch in October. And here's why it matters. If you make it through, remember we just said they're banged up. Yarby is a way to protect all of the assets that we have in our bullpen. There are not a ton of great assets that we have. So what it means is that we need to protect them even more. Guys like Bednar, if Devin Williams can find a way to, get hot the rest of the way, if somebody else, maybe a Cruz gets hot, how do you protect a 1 or 2? If there's 2 guys you can trust, you're not just going to pitch 2 guys all the way to a World Series championship. Well, the only way you can do that is if you have a player who can pitch 3, 4, 5 innings, protecting them in a postseason game. So, yeah, Apex, completely agree. I think Yarby will have a role in October. I don't know how they're going to deploy it. I would assume it's not in a start. But, Jake, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I like that too. I'll throw you one though, because this is kind of my feeling is that I think they should go about, if they're gonna have, let's just say, I wave the white flag, Heels pitching game 3, right?
Right.
Well, I would have all 3 of the guys that aren't pitching. I'd have them as bullpen double barrels. So I would use Warren, I would use Schlittler, and I would use Yarby.
Okay, so you would probably tee up Warren in a home start double barrel.
Yes, that's exactly what I would do.
Okay.
And I feel like they showed you that it works last year, when, they went with, it was, who was it? It was Cortez, and I don't think Stroman was a fan of it. It was Cortez and Schmidt, and it worked. It was sensational. Like, they just dominated.
I think they both went scoreless, and they were dominant.
Yeah, they were absolutely dominant. And I think people get too caught up in the whole, these starters need to start, closers need to close. I disagree. I think they're more often than not, I think the closers are affected by pitching out of their element than starting pitchers. We saw what CC Sabathia was out of the bullpen, right? We've seen guys have to be in uncharted waters. And the reality is they still have just as good a stuff coming in the 5th as they would coming in the 1st. And I think the thing is, there are guys that struggle to get through that 3rd time through the lineup, and that's fine. But if you're coming in for the first time that day, you're now showing them what you have. You haven't been in all day. This is your game plan. Now they have to adjust. You don't get enough at bats if you do double barreled to be able to adjust. I actually think it keeps, the hitters on their toes. And that's how I would play it. I would go, like you said perfectly, Will Warren at home, would be my double-barreled action with whoever's starting, right? I would have Schlittler, and I would tee him up with Rodon, or I'd tee him up with Fried, and then I have Yarbrough and tee him up with whoever, right?
That's the interesting part, though, Jake, is that clearly Aaron Boone is trying to get Yarbrough ready to go.
Yeah. And I think that's why they spent so long about calling him up, because they wanted to build him back up into a starter, because they're not going to start him, but they're going to use him in this role. And he might be the only guy they use double-barreled, if you will. But I think it'd be a mistake. I truly believe that they have an embarrassment of riches if you know how to use it.
They're trying to get Yarbrough, right? They're trying to get him reacclimated, but you just saw the last time he went out there, he got shelled. Now, this is the interesting part about it. They're not just going to say, well, we don't trust Yarbrough now. But the catch is, the Yankees have really, and I saw in the comment section that says 6-1 and we have the division. Well, that's exactly what Aaron Boone has to be looking at. Well, it is difficult knowing we've got to win 6 of 7, roughly. And I also have to find a way to get this guy who's really kind of floating around in our bullpen. I need him to get going as well. And you don't want to play around where you throw Yarbrough into a game maybe he's not ready for, but finding a way to pitch him in a game that maybe gets out of hand, see if Yarbrough can go 2 or 3 scoreless and get going. That could be just as important as anything else that happens. So I'll be curious to see what Boone does, how he gets this group through. Obviously, the most important thing is winning the games. If we don't get Yarbrough ready, because for the sake of we've just got to throw Bednar for 2 innings just to scrape past the finish line, then so be it. You can't prioritize that. But if we can do both, I mean, shoot, great.
Yeah, and I see them always throwing up the whole, magic number at the end of the game. There's a magic number for you guys to watch when it comes to potentially winning this division, and that's 4 for Toronto, and it starts tomorrow. Obviously, the Yankees got to take care of business. We talked about that. But if we're being realistic and the Yankees only win 6 of their next 7, they need Toronto to lose 4 of these games. And I think that's very real here. I think when you look, Kansas City tomorrow is not a walk in the park with Waka, right? No pun intended. Then you have in the Boston series, you're going to see Giolito, Bayo, and Crochet. So you're getting
there's
going to
be blood. Toronto's not sweeping that series. We know that.
No.
So if there's going to be blood and we dominate our games, well, it's going to come down to the last 2 games of the season, guys. Now, Toronto may win those games. They very well could. But I promise you, it'll change the way that they're preparing for those games. It's going to be all hands on deck. Bullpen guys, you guys said their pitching wasn't in good shape already. Wait till you see it after that game. Everyone's going to be pitching. So,
dude, have you
ball,
seen?
Man.
They are not, dude. This is insane. This is what I meant, by the way. This is what I was talking about. This is what I envisioned. Toronto will not see a pitcher. If I'm reading this correctly, I just looked at everybody. They will not see a pitcher with an ERA over 380. Not one. All the starters from here on out have ERAs below 380.
And we said their record has to be what now? Because we had it a little bit miscalculated a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
I think it was off by a game.
Yeah.
We have 7 games remaining. I would assume they also have 7 games remaining.
Yes.
We have to make up 3 of those games. If we win out, which
they have to lose 4. That's it.
4 games. They just have to lose more than they win. So that's not that hard to do when you're playing the Red Sox. And by the way, do they play Boston at home? Because that obviously will be a difference maker. I think it's in Toronto.
That's the deal breaker there, or not the deal breaker, but that's the the thing there. Caveat. They're 6 straight in Toronto, and this road trip was really mainly where they struggled. Now that said, right? They lose to Kansas City. Now they just have to lose 3 in between the next 6. And they're going up against Tampa, who 3 out of the 4 games in that series, Gary, were 1-run games, including a 6-5 game, a 2-1 game that ended in extra innings, right? And another 2-1 game.
And normally Tampa beats them. by the way, guys.
Yeah.
I know you're probably thinking, how would Tampa possibly keep it to a 1-run game? Tampa's actually been playing Toronto well the entire season. This is actually a step in the right direction for Toronto, the way that series went. So if things regress back to the means, well, the Yankees could be looking at winning this division in about the most roller coaster fashion you've ever seen. I couldn't imagine all the episodes that we've had, the temperament of all of them, right? Good and bad, because there's been both.
Yeah.
To end up winning the division would be insane, and it would be a historic collapse. I don't know if Detroit collapses. I don't know if Toronto collapses. All I know is any of those division winners, they're not having any momentum at all, and that's exactly how I want to see them. So,
yeah,
beautiful.
Yeah, so Schlittler will go up again. I mean, Kyle Brash is really good, so it's worth mentioning. I mean, that could be a tough game tomorrow. I think they're gonna win.
Our breakfast omelets out is it 10 a.m. Pacific start?
1:35.
1:35. Okay.
It's
All
during
right.
our Eagles-Rams game, so I will be getting to this after that.
I'll have it split screen.
Yeah, well, I know, but I'll want to rewatch it, so that's probably what I will do. And then, and then Blue Jays Royals is that really talented Trey Yesevich with the 9 strikeouts that he had his last outing.
By the way, I have a question for our audience.
Wacha.
Michael Wacha, that start can go any one of two ways.
Well, lately he's been atrocious. He's actually coming off a blow-up outing where he gave up 7 earned runs. So,
interesting.
We shall see. And Toronto's saying it right now in the chat. We lose tomorrow, and we are done.
Not technically true. We've learned from this. It's just not.
Yeah.
Toronto
right.
plays well at home. It will change things. It just will. Yeah. But will it be the difference maker? We just don't know. That's why they're playing the games. But yeah, you'd have to imagine the momentum will mean something. When you look up and you say, oh, well, we're up 1 game and we've got to go play Boston. That is a problem. We still have to go play Tampa. That is a problem for Toronto. By the way, I've got a quick question for our audience. And by the way, guys, if you're new here and you haven't listened to our podcast before, please be sure to subscribe, and most importantly, make sure you guys like this video. Doesn't cost anything to do it. Helps out the channel a ton. It's a big way to support us. We're obviously very happy you're here. I've got a question for our audience now, because when we went into October of last year, I asked this question, and people probably forgot, and I don't blame you. We've had about 600 episodes in between. But I said, who do you trust in October to pitch games, to start? Big game, who do you want to throw the ball to? Actually, in Garrett Cole, and let's not have revisionist history, Garrett Cole was not Garrett Cole. Going into October of last year, wasn't. He was not the Garrett Cole we were used to, right? He wasn't. Now, mind you guys, Jake and I have both explained, in our opinion, that Rodon is pitching. He's the best version of himself he's ever been. This is the best I've ever seen him pitch in pinstripes. Not even close. And that includes all the starts I watched in Chicago. He's never been this good. Now, I ask now, how long is that list? You say, I trust him to go pitch a game. Now, I would imagine a lot of people, they're probably not going to be as, Jake, we've said our rotation is really good. I would imagine that list is probably 3 names long for a lot of people. They're going to say that they trust Fried, then Rodon, right? And then probably Heel, and then Schlittler in that order. Well, guys, how many teams have even 3 names? They say, oh, I trust what he's going to do in an October setting. There's not many teams. They've got top-end talent, Crochets, but what's Bello going to do? You just saw what he did against the Yankees. He's pitched well for his career. Do they really trust what he's going to look like against the Yankees, per se, in a wild card series? Probably not. It's a major question mark. They have no clue what they're getting. So I now want to know, what do you guys all think about Rodon? What do you all think about Fried? Jake, huge red flag we had. And let's not act like we didn't have it. We said Fried has not pitched well in October. And not only that, he hasn't really pitched that well at the end of seasons. He really has drifted into the end of years, and then it really just snowballed on him in October. And we told him, well, that's going to have to change. We're going to have to see something unique to believe, oh, I can trust this guy. Well, Jake, you mentioned the blisters. Well, he's been awesome since then. He's been great. So, yeah, I agree with your point. I think the Yankees' advantage isn't how many runs can they score, how many home runs how many bases can they steal. That's certainly great. Our rotation might just carry us to some degree into a round maybe you guys didn't think we'd go to.
I completely agree with that. It's really interesting because, like you said, Garrett Cole was really not Garrett Cole, and then he got into the postseason and he ends up with a 2.17 ERA and a 1.28 WHIP, which, I mean, that's the best, but 2.17 ERA is great, right? However, everyone else in the starting rotation, Clark Schmidt, 5.25 ERA, Carlos Rodon, 5.60 ERA, Luis Gil, 6.75, and then, of course, Nestor Cortez only came in for 2 innings, a 9 ERA.
That went well.
Those were the starters, right? So that's pretty bold. And it's kind of crazy. You think about it, they went to the World Series despite the fact that their number 2 pitcher had a 5.60 ERA in Carlos Rodon.
Yeah, now, we're much better this year. No question.
Yeah, and I do want to give Carlos Rodon a little respect here because I think the 5.60, obviously, with, the sample size is a little misleading. I thought he pitched really well in both Cleveland games. The Cleveland game they won in extras, and then the Cleveland game they won 5-2. Rodon had 9 strikeouts in that first Cleveland game. That was huge because we expected Rodon to have this great outing. We talked about it against Kansas City. We're like, this is when he becomes AJ Burnett. Remember, we were talking about that.
We did.
Oh my God, he was not that. He really struggled. Like, he gave up 4 runs in 3 2/3 innings. Boone had to take him out immediately. And then you're like, oh, I don't know if I trust Carlos, not you, but in general, like, people are thinking, like, I don't know if I trust Carlos Rodon against the Guardians. I don't know.
At least ask the question.
But you and I actually were like, no, I think he's going to bounce back. I remember that. And he did. And he only gave up 3 hits in 6 innings and gave the Yankees a legitimate shot to win when it's hard to win. Then the next outing wasn't as good, but they come away with the win. And it was still a good outing. Like, it was good enough, right? And then you have the Dodgers game, and it's kind of back to what he looked like, in that Kansas City game. And it sucked because he got off to a great start in that start, and then it kind of unraveled. So,
which sounded a lot like Garrett Cole as well. So
yeah.
It's really not us picking on any one player.
No.
Guys, it's really difficult to win. It is. And sometimes guys
Absolutely.
who haven't done a lick in October, sometimes they're the reason you end up winning the World Series. I mean, what's Jack Flaherty done prior to what he done in LA right then to show that he's just this proven World Series champion guy who delivers in big games? Well, sometimes you just have to give people the opportunity to sink or swim. Well, he swam. And it was honestly not good at all for the Yankees. So I'm curious now, when people say that they trust Rodon, Jake, I assume you still trust Rodon. Now you probably trust Fried because you were the first one actually to really talk me into Fried, right? I shouldn't say I didn't like the signing. I didn't love it. It wasn't this clear, it's going to just perfectly, he's great in October. Can give you 200 innings. He's a strikeout guy. There were a lot of question marks around signing Fried. He puts the ball on the ground a lot. We don't really love our infield defense. How's that going to work out in New York? Well, things seem to be working out with the 2 of them. So maybe the 2 of those guys are going to bring us to a World Series. Maybe at least. I'm going to not even say a World Series. Maybe they're going to take us deep into a postseason run. I would even take that at this point. Not acceptable, but it's probably a lot further than I thought this team was going to go, say 2 months ago. I was not happy with that. And Chris, really appreciate the 5, my man. I'm pretty sure I saw you on Twitter earlier this morning. He was asking me about picks and won him some money. So, Chris, really appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Oh, we love that. Don't know how this super chat works. Well, you did the super chat. So we'll try our best. If we miss, we see the super chat and you don't have any text, we'll try our best to find the comment, and looks like we found it. But with the jump into wild card spots, who do you guys think the Yankees will face, given the Guardians got a spot in the wild card spot? Okay, so this is a good question. I personally still think the Yankees, as much as I want them to win the division, I'm still just assuming it's the wild card.
I agree.
I said that they would win the division. I'm going back on that just because they lost that game to the Orioles, and honestly, the Tigers series kind of killed it, and now the Tigers look like a joke. Those are the only 2 games that they've won in the last 10. So
you
really
can't lose 2
there.
of 3 to Detroit at home, and you miss Scooble. We couldn't predict that. Obviously, it happened.
Yeah, so I think the Yankees get the 4 seed.
Okay.
I wouldn't be entirely shocked if they had the 1 seed, but I'm going to say they get the 4 seed for now. Boston ends up with the 5. Now, if the Yankees pass Toronto, then obviously I think Toronto will get the 4 and Boston will get the 5. That's 6, 3, and 2. So Seattle's playing too good a baseball right now. I think they got 2 locked in. So who's going to be the 3 and who's going to be the 6? Well, I'm going to say right now, and this is, it's kind of wild, but I kind of feel like the Tigers are going to drop out of this thing. So I'm going to say the Guardians get the 3. And I'm going to say that the wild card does not go to the Tigers, but it actually goes to Houston. And I think Houston gets the final spot. Because I think the Tigers have been that bad.
Okay, I do see Cleveland regressing to some level. I feel like what I'm watching out of Cleveland, and it's a lot of fun to watch. It is. Mm-hmm. I think what I'm watching, it reminds me a lot. It almost seems like a mirror of, do you remember Boston? The Red Sox around the break, it won 10 straight. Everyone's thinking, oh my God, and here come the Red Sox. And our initial prediction was that the Red Sox were going to maybe narrowly win this division. Like, we really put a lot of attention onto that team. And then when we saw that 10, 11 game win streak, we're like, oh, there they are. There's the team, right? They've got Bregman hitting, Roman Anthony's hitting. All these guys they're hitting. Well, when I look up now, I feel like Cleveland is just kind of on this run that they can't feel their legs. And I think that will regress here in the next 7 games of the season, the last 7 games of the season. And that's not saying it'll be a collapse, because you can't collapse in 7 games unless something happened before it that was bad. Well, Cleveland's playing great baseball. They've won 10 straight games. I think that'll regress somewhat, maybe to the level where they get into the 6th spot. I'm not sure. But I'm not afraid of any of these teams. I'm not afraid of Houston.
No.
Not afraid of Boston. We're not afraid of Boston. I think if that series in Boston didn't go the way it was, which, by the way, I said we were going to lose that series. Well, now that we did that, I'm not afraid of them. I'm not afraid of Bello. Crochet is still a major factor, but Jake, none of these teams scare me at all, which you already know. I have now changed my opinion about my takeaway on some of these teams. I was worried about Boston. I was worried about Houston. Houston has not been a good baseball team for 2.5, 3 months now. It's not been good. So you just saw what Framber Valdez, if for anyone paying attention, he's one of the worst pitchers in the league now. He's not good at all. So if you guys know what the Yankees do against lefties, and Jake, you brought it up beautifully 2 episodes ago, well, we're going to be seeing Valdez in an October run if it were to come. So, yeah, go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, I just wanted to address this because it might have gotten a little out of hand when I was explaining everything. But the Guardians, I think, are going to win the Central. I think they're too hot right now. Detroit is a sinking ship. I think they're actually going to miss the playoffs. And I told you, I've never been high on Detroit. I like some of what they have, but I am not high on Detroit. And
that is true. I can vouch for you. You were never high on this team.
No. And I think the Astros are going to sneak in and take that final wild card spot. So
okay.
So it's going to look pretty much like every other year, right? Like the Guardians.
What is it, by the way? Is it the
Astros?
offenses or is it their pitching? Because we know Detroit has pitching. Like Casey, they've got pitching.
I don't.
Is it the
I don't like
offense?
Detroit's offense. I really don't. I know they
That's fair.
Mollywopped the Yankees, so I'm not trying to say they didn't, right? But I look at this team and like for me, like Glaber Torres, right? Like I mean, I love Glaber, but it's like it's really a team full of guys like Riley Green, Torque, Torres, and like after that, I mean, Dingler's a pretty good catcher, but I'm just not really obsessed with this team by any stretch.
No,
like
Torque's a
Javi
threat
Baez.
against Rodon. Like against, he's more of a, I'm not going to call him a platoon bat because he's not that, but he's more so dangerous against lefties. It needs to improve. It does. They're not winning a World Series. I think we both
They didn't
agree.
do enough at the deadline.
No, they did.
It's that simple.
I would agree with you. It's the offense.
By the way, shout out to Javier Baez for once again proving why I think that the All-Star game is just not even a full half of the season, but basically a first half of the season award. Because his OPS now, can you guess?
Let me take a guess. So he was at the All-Star game. So I have to imagine his ops was probably somewhere floating in the 750 range. Mm-hmm. I'm going to guess his ops is, well, bear with me. It's not in front of me. I'm going to say it's 697.
673.
Oh, it's okay. So it's much worse than I thought.
Yeah, no, it's
almost
actually
30 points below league average.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about it on the same level as like a McMahon. So, because McMahon is dropped off. Or no, I'm sorry, Volpe. McMahon's at 690. And Anthony Volpe, I believe, is at 669. Yep. So, yeah, it's hovering right around Anthony Volpe territory. That was an all-star, folks. Just a reminder.
Well, I hope Boone doesn't get a hold of that clip. He's gonna be like, see, he narrowly missed he could have been an all-star.
That was not my intention. That was not my intention. But hey, I mean, Jahmai Jones has a 913 OPS, so I'm sure Yankees fans will be clamoring to sign him in the offseason.
Yeah, so we're not terrified of this lineup. And that's the whole game, guys. It doesn't matter what you think of necessarily our rotation or our lineup. It's about matchups. What do you think about our rotation matching up with Detroit's lineup? What do you think of Boston and no Roman Anthony, or even if you do see a Roman Anthony in October, he hasn't picked up a baseball bat in now over like a month. Well, what version of Roman? What is it? So Richard says Guardians have the tiebreaker over Detroit and Houston.
What? There it is. There it is, bro. I'm telling you.
That's surprising. Wow.
I mean, is it though? They were playing way better baseball earlier in the year, and then they kind of tailed off. And
they did the Twins thing just earlier.
That's exactly what they did. They were just like the Twins. Yeah, so they just swept Detroit. So that's why they're absolutely surging. And on the season series, Cleveland won 6 out of 10. So
okay.
They still and by the way, they still have the Tigers are in deep shit, man. They still have
do the Guardians
games.
have what's up?
They still have 3 games against the Guardians in Cleveland.
Wow.
I'm just glad this isn't Tigers Unloaded because I don't know where we'd be right now. Probably without hair, I would assume.
Yeah, hey, I know some Tigers podcasters on Twitter, and they're probably sprinkling Bosley on their head to get their hair to grow. Jose G Insight with the 2. I think he changed his avatar, by the way. Thank you for the 2. Really appreciate that, Jose. Says a magical postseason incoming from our New York Yankees. So, first and foremost, Jose, really appreciate, obviously, you being excited about this run. Who, by the way, do you think is primed, other than Giancarlo? Because we know he's usually cheeks in September and then just awesome in October. Jake, is there any player that you could say, that guy right there, I think he's going to have a run? Because I'm about to look at our lineup. I want to see just
kind of
the context how they're playing.
Cody Bellinger, obviously.
Okay, and someone would say to rebuttal that is that Cody hasn't been great in October, and then I've long been saying this. I don't really care.
Oh, I don't care
because Alex Rodriguez wasn't good at all in October either. Should we have not wanted him heading into 09? Right? If he doesn't exist, our championship cannot exist. So things can change on a dime.
Grisham.
Try to pay more attention to the talent.
Grisham, I think, is going to be really key and critical in October.
So the chase rate you think will matter. Okay.
I think Paul Goldschmidt. I think Boone is going to lean on vets. I think Goldschmidt, they're telling you he's going to play more than people realize because he's starting to play against righties again. So they're trying to get him like revved up is the way I see it.
Okay, here's the player in this. I know this sounds ridiculous. This will sound ridiculous, I promise you. The player I think who's tuned to have the biggest October this year, he will have the biggest October for the Yankees through and through, is Aaron Judge. And I'll tell you why. I've been saying I'd probably say safely about 5 seasons. That's a long time. It's literally since the COVID season. That my biggest problem with how the Yankees play around Aaron Judge is that they're playing station-to-station baseball. Well, Jake, we've been covering now for weeks the development of this team, just deciding on a whim. And at the beginning of the season, they were like, yeah, we like to run. Then they just stopped, right? Jazz got hurt, and they're like, we don't run anymore. We don't steal any bases. Jason Dominguez hadn't stolen a base in a month and a half. And then all of a sudden, they decided we're running like the wind. Jazz now has stolen 30 bases. Jason Dominguez is a part-time player. He's stolen over 20, right? Caballero is stealing any base he can, right? Even Volpe's stealing bases. Now Judge is stealing bases. So I say all that to say this. I think the biggest reason why, and it's not the only reason, that Judge struggles is because it's just one-dimensional when he gets up to the plate. We're going to pick around him, and there's not really any threat going on around the bases. There's nothing else to pay attention to. We're just going to throw our best stuff off the plate, and he's going to try and do too much, and he's going to get himself out. And that's exactly what's happened to Aaron Judge. And Jake, you've talked about that as well. But now that the Yankees are finally moving the puppies, as they like to say, that they are finally running. They're finding a way to get from first to second base, getting into scoring position, leaving second base, instead of being an anchor, getting to third base. Those opportunities now just become far easier for Aaron Judge to be successful. I think Judge is about to go nuclear. I do.
I like that because I can see it as well. Here's a big thing that I think it will pad the argument that you're making. Mm-hmm. Aaron Judge is going to win the batting title. So
how far up is he on that?
He's 11 points ahead of Jacob Wilson.
Oh, he got that.
Yeah, and he's been ahead of everybody the whole year. There has not been a drop-off. But you're telling me you have a guy who should have 50 home runs, if not for the Nimrod that called it foul in Tampa.
Oh, you heard that on the broadcast today. Did you hear that on the broadcast today?
I did not, but every time I see it, I'm
Horrible.
just like, I can't believe. I just hate being reminded that like he should have 50 and he doesn't because some idiot was just like, it's a foul ball and it's not reviewable. It's like, what are we doing?
And we can get over this, by the way, from Big Picture, guys. Again, guys, thank you for being active in our live chat. We really appreciate all of you guys communicating. It helps us out a ton. He says, I would have said that about Judge had he not gotten hurt. Limited Judge. So here's the thing. When you're talking about the 50 home run season and doing what he's doing, we don't really mind. Injuries are just part of the game. And, in this scenario, you cannot miss a home run that actually happened. Like on the broadcast today, Jake, so you didn't hear it. They said, oh yeah, if the pole was just higher, I guess would have seen it. Yeah.
No,
they weren't
make
like
excuses for these
they
guys.
Weren't excusing it, but they were essentially saying it was the factor that caused the error. I was like, the pole, there could have been no foul pole. It was literally in left field. I don't know what they were watching. But I guess we shouldn't chase the arbitrary stats. What we're after, Aaron Judge should win the MVP. He should.
He's revved up, by the way. He's hitting 358 in the month of September. He has an 1100 OPS. Yes. He has a 520 on base percentage. There it is. 520 on base percentage. I don't even care about all the other stuff. 417 in August, right? He had a 388 in June. Interesting. 453 in May and a 508 in April. Judge is getting on base more than he's gotten in any of his monthly splits this year. That is exactly what you want to hear. And he's stealing bases, which tells you, I'm not saying he's stealing tons. He's only stolen 3, but he's running more. He's bought into whatever, and I think Boone deserves credit. I am going to say it because there's been a switch that has been flipped. And I think Jazz Chisholm is getting a lot of credit for the stolen bases. It's Caballero. Caballero got injected into this team, and instantaneously he was off and running, and he's stealing bases and taking advantage, as we brought up, how easy it is to steal bases now in 2025 because you only get 2 pickoffs, and it's like, all right, well, it's mine. However, not only is that happening, then he starts playing. Then you start to see this offense stops being station to station. And I do believe Caballero is the reason. Everybody has followed his suit. Now Jazz Chisholm hitting, having a 30-30 season, 40-40 with 162 games with the Yankees. I think people are looking at it in that way. And you want to give Jazz credit. I'm not saying you shouldn't. But it's exactly what I said. He's the Dave Roberts of this team. He's going to be huge in the postseason. And guess what? He was just as huge. We don't even know what he's going to do in the postseason. He's already been massive in the regular season. He's one of those quiet, confident guys, inner arrogance, right?
Well, he's not scared to get thrown out of a game. We know that.
No, but I mean, obviously he's yelling at, but he's normally pretty quiet and confident. And then, he gets pissed off at an umpire and he's a little fiery. But this is somebody that is a lead by example. He's been one of the leaders. He has. Since he's come over, he's changed the way the Yankees play baseball. He's the reason. I'm not saying he's the only reason, right? I think a big reason is because the starting rotation, kicked into gear. But Gary, they're 27-14 since August 6th. It's the best record in the MLB in that span. That wasn't long after they acquired Caballero.
Yeah, here's the thing about Caballero. Caballero, he's not the greatest player in the world, but he's a role player. And the Yankees usually, throughout the years, people would say, well, I don't want this type of player. I want a better player. I want this guy. But the problem with that guy who was better was that they don't fill any type of role. The Yankees just have a bunch of heavy lifters, and nobody wants to do any mop work. Nobody. Well, guess what? If no one's doing any mopping, the floor is filthy. You're losing. There's no World Series championship team. No one. Jake, we couldn't name a single team that didn't have role players. Guys that you knew just simply play a role. They're not going to win AL. They're not winning the MVP of the series. None of those things. They're the guy that you say, well, we have to be able to drop down a bunt here. This is pressure. They drop down the bunt. Oh, we have to be able to just slap a ball the other way. Make sure we need Wells to go from second to third. He walked. There was a pass ball. He's got to get to third base. The role player has to be able to get that done. You don't look at Aaron Judge to play role work. You don't look at Cody Bellinger to play role work. That's what the Yankees have been trying to do for the past 5 years. It does not work. You can make it Soto. You can make it Judge. It could be Rizzo. All of these players that we've had throughout the years, none of them excelled at a role. And so honestly, the last time I really saw a player where I was like, you know what? Raul Ibanez really just dominates his role. He's just a role player. Dominates that role. He's not in line to start, none of those things. When you have players that just know they're role players, whether that's starting or not, it makes you so much better. Whether or not we win this division, I'm not sure. I'm probably with you, Jake. I don't think we do. I think we're going to run just out of gas. But having said that, when we go into October, if we just walk into the wild card series and lose in 2 or 3 games and you're like, all right, guys, see ya. It would surprise me if we lost, that we play the brand of baseball that we've played throughout the years, which we're waiting for the 3-run jack. I don't think that's going to happen this October. I think if we lose, it'll be for a different reason. And I think a lot of that reason is going to be, how do we play defensively up the middle? Does Jazz Chisholm, does Volpe, does Caballero, do they play smart baseball, sound baseball up the middle? If we can do that, I think we have enough pitching in our rotation. I am worried about our bullpen. I'll be consistent about that. But when you have role players you trust, really like the starters, the bottom lineup's a little weak, I'll be honest. But I think we have less holes than a lot of these other teams, Jake. So will I predict us to be in the World Series? No, but I sure would like to, because I don't want to stop doing this podcast.
No, I don't either. And, by the way, Caballero, 841 OPS with the New York Yankees. And by the way, because I saw it in the comments section, somebody was saying that, Caballero gets thrown out too much. He has 48 stolen bases and 11 caught stealing. That's actually a career high in stolen bases. He had 44 back in 2024, and he was caught stealing 16 times. So I think he's been more efficient this year by a long shot. And I mean, he'd probably have way more if he was playing every day, So that's the thing. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. But I just think he's been such an energizer bunny for the Yankees. And in 35 games, he's stolen 14 bases. He stole 34 in 86 games for the Rays. So
getting thrown out, I mean, that's okay. It's okay to get thrown out, but when
Boone
do you
was
get thrown out?
literally saying, I want guys to get thrown out. I don't want us to be at the bottom of the league.
That's good. I know we've been really hard on Boone.
Yeah.
We know that. That's good coaching. It is. We'll stop there, just in that singular thing. That is true. Is he talking literally, oh, great, good job, you got hosed at second? No.
Yeah. No.
But what he's telling you is if you get over to first base and you're Anthony Volpe, you didn't hit great this year. You get over to first base, someone hits you in the foot with a pitch, and you went and stood on first base, what the hell is that going to do for the Yankees?
Yeah, exactly.
What's that going to do? Get moving and give us the opportunity for something good to happen. Force the defense to make a throw. Make teams have to beat us in another way other than striking out a bunch of sluggers. Because what we've learned is that it's much easier to neutralize sluggers in October. Teams don't really just hit homers all October and just win championships. It doesn't usually work that way. It tends to be the Marco Scutaro, right, DJ LeMahieu in their prime type guys. Derek Jeter, where I'm going to just slap a ball the other way and it'll kill you. Those are the guys that end up making the difference in October. So see a super chat in here. Josh, thank you for the 2, my man. And also thank you for being a member as well. You guys can become members. I think down in the chat, I think it should be down there. Josh says, just tuning in, 2 for the homies. Appreciate that. Said division possible. It absolutely is possible. A lot of work to be done. And Josh, again, who's a bit of a football fan here, I assume he's a Rams fan. Josh says, Eagles and Rams tomorrow, you guys going to be okay? Yeah, as long as it's a good game. I think no one wants to see a rematch. The rematch that we were waiting for. It's a little weird that it's in the beginning of the season, but I guess that's the way the cookie. Not in prime time. They gave us none of the things we asked for. But I don't know. Get your breakfast omelet ready. Eagles Rams.
Yeah, I'm excited. But
thank you, Josh.
By far the best game of the slate. By far.
Yep.
I don't think you have a game anywhere near that until maybe Lions Ravens, but I'm not even that high on the Lions, so I don't know.
Yeah, and by the way, just a quick stat I wanted to throw up on the screen.
Yeah.
I won't throw it up on the screen, but I'll read it. The Yankees today, and people have been talking all year long, this team can't do anything with runners in scoring position. They were 3 for 5 today. 3 for 5. Not a ton of opportunity. We've certainly been in scoring position more than 5 times in a game. This year, how often do we hit 600 in those opportunities?
Yeah.
We came through today offensively, so give our offense credit. They were big time. That's how you're going to win October games. You get opportunities. They're not going to come around often. You better capitalize. If you don't, you're going to run into better pitching. The games are going to get even closer, and those turn into losses, and you end up in Cancun talking about the winter again. We don't need that. We just don't. So Jake, is there anything else in the game today that you saw that you want to talk about, or you want to get to voicemails?
Yeah, it's it's one of those games that I think we probably could have discussed in more depth, but with the way, where we are in the season, I think the way we decided to attack this show was the right way. It is starting to get to be crunch time. That postseason, that playoff picture is real. But I just wanted to give a shout out to Carlos Rodon, who I think has just had a sensational year. He's been everything that you wanted him to be when he was signed. back in the day. It feels like forever ago, but he's really stepped up, and he's playing a pivotal leader role for this team. And I think, guys are rallying around that. When Rodon's on the hill, I feel like guys are ready to go to war for him. 8 strikeouts today. I also want to say I'm a little annoyed because I thought Boone managed a great game. I actually agreed wholeheartedly with putting in Luke Weaver because, again, the bullpen budget.
Oh. Do you just keep that crinkled up paper right next to your monitor?
Yeah, of course. It's a prop now.
It is.
Yeah. And I mean, of course, you got the ASMR thing going on. But yeah, the bullpen budget, right? They showed you. And Luke Weaver hadn't pitched in X amount of time. And I told you I was going to be consistent on this. I want to be fair to these bullpen guys. We focus way too much on the bullpen budget in a way that's like, oh, yeah, they haven't pitched in a while. They're fresh. I'll look at it that way. Okay? If you don't pitch in a while, you could be rusty. You got to keep these guys going. It's like, I said it yesterday on the show. It's like your car. You're supposed to start your car every single day. Doesn't matter if it's the winter or not, right?
This is. I think that is a really good point. And I learned that the hard way. I left my car outside. I'm in Arizona. So I left my car. And mind you, we bought a new car. So, whoop-de-doo. Hey, I'm not going to turn on my old raggedy car that I bought. And, I bought that thing when I was a freshman in college. I'm not driving that. I'm going to drive the new RAV4. Great. Well, I went and turned it on for the first time few months ago. Nothing. Dead on arrival. Click you push the start, nothing. Didn't do anything for me. And same thing with your bullpen. You've got to use those suckers. I get it. People make it seem like, oh, good for Devin Williams. He pitched great on Thursday. He hasn't pitched since Thursday. It's Tuesday. He must just be awesome. Well, no, there has to be a routine there, and there's no routine at all. He might be fresh, but how much do you care that a guy's fresh if he's not?
That's why Bednar had to pitch today, because then they wouldn't have been able to use him. So they put him in tomorrow, right? When's the last time he pitched? Tuesday? Wednesday?
I don't even remember the last time he pitched.
So, that's what I mean is it sucks. I get it. In a perfect world, you'd like to give these guys days off and feel good about it. It doesn't work the way you think it does. It just doesn't. And in addition to that, while we get on Boone for the way he uses the bullpen and everything, and rightfully so, I don't love the way he uses the bullpen. At the same time, I don't look at the pitchers this year, Gary, like I have in the past, and see some gaudy innings. Tim Hill leads the entire bullpen with 64 and a third innings pitched. That's not a lot of innings. We're not talking about 80.
I think the target was we were trying to avoid 80 to 100. I think that was the number Boone spit out. Remember when they were like, where's Holmes? Holmes was pitching well at the time. We're like, where's Clay Holmes?
Luke Weaver is
61. Well, I don't want him to throw 90 innings. We're like, okay. So no one in our bullpen now is overworked. They're just not.
I think they're somewhat underworked. Somewhat.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. Because at one point or another, we definitely agreed Williams was overworked due to injury, right? And there was no Luke Weaver around. Cruz was gone. Guys at that time were overworked. But when it comes to the full season, what do your numbers look like? How many innings have you thrown? No one should be overworked when we walk into October. Toronto can't say that. I promise you, Toronto will not be able to say that when they start postseason. I promise. Boston will not be able to say that as they walk in. Detroit will not be able to say that guys are simply not overworked. They're going to have to work their tails off to go where they need to go. So is it an advantage us? Yes. Will it make the difference? We have no idea. No clue. I do see Jose in the super. Jose, really appreciate the 2. Think he already changed his Avi back.
That is Jose, hilarious.
He's all over. Jose, thank you for the 2, my man. Says, if we get heel ready and locked in, our rotation is scary. How about Schlittler? How about heel?
They got 6 starters, and I think they should go 3-man rotation and then just pair one of the other 3 with the other guys as the double-barreled.
Warren shouldn't even get on the team plane to the road. No.
No. I mean,
Will Warren should just stay in your studio apartment that you've got in New York going on right now. Just leave him there. Chill, go get dinner, Enjoy time with your family. When the Yankees come back to New York, I have no problem, by the way, and I've long been saying this, huge Will Warren fan myself. I'll speak for me, and I know, Jake, what you think as well.
Yeah.
Will Warren in the Bronx is like a split personality from who he is on the road. Just a totally different pitcher. Am I throwing him a start? Probably not in October, but I'm willing to pitch him in the Bronx.
I think that's fair. I'd say this about Will Warren. It's kind of funny. You know what I'm just going to call him from now on?
What's that?
Terms and conditions may apply. Because it is dependent on where he is. That's just the reality of it. I can't trust him on the road, especially in a do or die game or any game that's in the postseason for that matter. So
no, if we pitch him even at home, if we pitch Will Warren as high as we both are on him in a do or die game, Aaron Boone's just not doing his job. You pitch Rodon, you pitch Fried on short rest before you give the ball to Warren. That's with all due respect. We have high hopes for what Warren will be in 2026 and beyond. And maybe they throw him the ball in October this year and he, not going to say he proves us wrong, but maybe he does something that's better than expectations. But I wouldn't just throw him the ball. I wouldn't.
Yeah, and as you can see right here, that's crazy stat. Highest innings pitch is only mid-60s, bodes very well. This is what I've been saying. You know, I'm not like jumping for joy about the bullpen. That's
nope.
Like, let's not get it twisted, but it's not one of those things like where I'm looking at the innings and I see, oh, this is trouble next year. This is trouble next month is what I mean.
Correct.
You know,
I see what you're saying.
And that's the thing. Like Luke Weaver threw 84 innings last year by this point. 84. Because you know how they were using him? They were asking him to start 2 innings. Or to close 2 innings. So
that's right.
He would go for a 6-out save. And by the way, you know what they did last year that a lot of people didn't catch up on? They got 27 1/3 out of Dennis Santana. They got 33 1/3 out of Caleb Ferguson. And oh, by the way, they got 56 innings, which is only behind Clay Holmes and Luke Weaver, out of Michael Tonkin. And then they just got rid of him. And Tonkin, by the way, had really good numbers for the most part. Jake Cousins, they got 38 innings out of. And Marinaccio, 23 1/3. Victor Gonzalez, 23 1/3. So when they got to the postseason, who was overworked? It was just Luke Weaver, really. He was the only one that was overworked by definition, having 84 innings pitched. So I think as much as, and again, it feels like Boone uses the bullpen too much, but he actually mixes it up enough where it's not really that much of an issue. And so that's the thing.
I think we use a lot of guys.
Yeah.
I think that's really how that came to be, where no one's really overworked. We just simply don't have, like, if you really think about the Yankees, our list of trustees, like the guys that you actually trust, I mean, who do you really trust in our bullpen? Could you name the list right now?
Yeah, I mean, people are going to be surprised.
Yeah, go ahead.
I trust Bednar, obviously.
Okay.
I trust Weaver.
Okay.
I trust Devin Williams. I think Devin Williams is going to be very key and critical in the postseason.
Which is fine because over his career, he was not good in that Mets series. We know that. But in his career, he's been a good closer. So you just assume, okay, well, maybe there's something there. Is that the end of your list?
Yeah, I mean, after that, I do trust Tim Hill to a degree because Tim Hill's already been there, done that. So he's seen it. I trust him. Mark Later Jr., I would say I trusted just because of the way he pitched last year. Here's why I don't. Because I don't know what he is since that injury.
I don't trust him a lick. So your list is 4 names long?
I would say so, but keep this in mind. And this is actually how I can make you guys feel a little bit more at ease. Although not everybody's going to trust Devin Williams, and I understand that.
Yep.
But I just named 4 names. But guess what, Gary? I trust 7 guys that are going to be in the bullpen because I trust Yarbrough. I trust Will Warren, condition, of course, at home. And I trust Schlittler or Heel because those guys will be in the pen. There you go. You have 7 guys.
Which is fine.
Right there.
It's just more so We trust them to pitch. But really what we're getting at is if it was a 1-1 game and you're going into the 7th,
and
you
no,
say,
I don't
okay,
trust Noval. I see people saying that they...
No, Doval is not in that. He's not even walking towards it.
No.
You would say, how do we get Bridge 7, 8, 9? How do we do that? What order would you go in? And then you'd say, all right, well, the Yankees probably first out the pen. I would assume, if I'm being honest, Cruz would be the first guy out of the bullpen.
Oh, yeah, I trust Cruz as well.
Right. So Cruz would be the first name you guys would see. Cruz has been up and down, actually, this season, more than we expected, right? He just has. But we expect him. He's a guy that we trust. Well, we've seen Bednar, Weaver, Doval, Leiter Jr. Leiter Jr.'s pitched all the time. They are using him all the time. Now, they may be doing that not because they trust him, because it allows someone else not to pitch who they do trust. They're essentially just protecting the 2 or 3 guys they do trust in hopes they'll be ready for October. This is a different way that the Yankees normally don't do this. The Yankees usually have a super bullpen. 4 guys are great. We pitch all 4 of them every day. You see them every day. They're all going to pitch 75 innings plus. And these dudes, everyone's like, oh, we're going to dominate. We've got a good rotation, and we've got a good bullpen. We could throw it over to them. And next thing you know, it is a 1-1 game because the Yankees offense isn't scoring. And the Yankees bullpen, they're going to throw up a graphic and say, here's their ERA the whole year. And what do? They essentially make that ERA mean nothing because they're not the same guys. They're not as fresh. So like it and don't like it. Because you don't like it during the regular season because you see Leiter Jr. a lot. You look up and say, why do I see, why is Devin Williams pitching again? He just blew 2 games in a row. Why is he pitching again? Well, because it helps protect somebody else to not pitch, right? So, I don't know, Jake.
You know who I actually want to see make this postseason roster? I can't believe I'm
Is it in the bullpen?
Yeah.
Let me take a look. Is it Paul Blackburn?
100%.
Yep.
Paul Blackburn has been sensational since August ended. I think he had to get acclimated. And when he did, because, I mean, you look at his numbers, right? He was pitiful in June, and then he didn't pitch in July. And then the Yankees got him in the middle of August, right? And he wasn't good. Like, it was the same thing as he was in June. But in September, he's given up 4 hits in 7 innings. He's given up 1 run, unearned, and he has 10 strikeouts and 2 walks. That's a 0 ERA. So he's actually been very good, and I understand he's coming up in very low leverage situations, but I still want him on the roster. He doesn't need to pitch every game. He doesn't need to pitch at all. I just want to know that he's on the roster in case I need that, because he can go 2 innings. He actually, believe it or not, and I think this is what the Yankees saw in him, right? Because I you can talk about the macro and all of that, and people want to talk about the macro, fine. There's an outing he had back in June, against the LA Dodgers, in which he pitched 5 innings, only gave up 3 hits, no runs, and they got the win in 10 innings. It was a huge, huge outing for him. And clearly he can do that because against the Braves, that game, that damning game, whatever reason, he only gave up 2 runs in 5 innings and he gave up 1 hit. So he could actually give them length out of the pen. He could be another guy that could be kind of used similar to Yarbrough. I'm not saying that I want him in high leverage, but if they don't include him on the roster, I'll be shocked because I think he's been really good. And I'm just going to be honest because, we were making jokes about him and I get that, but he's been really good for the Yankees in the last 5 outings. I mean,
if a Cam Schlittler comes in there and gives up, say, 4 runs in the first inning, gives up a 3-run jack, and you're looking up and going, oh, okay, Cam Schlittler is not ready. It looks like that Toronto start, right? And this is a small sample size. But you've got a young player who goes out there, and you say, oh, heel, Another player who has very little control. Great stuff. We love his stuff. But little control. What if he comes out and walks the first 5 hitters of the game?
Yeah.
You go, oh, we look up, we're down 4-0. What are you going to do then? You bring in your high leverage guys to keep it at 4. What do? You need to bring someone who's talented and also not a high leverage guy. Paul Blackburn.
Yeah.
There's your guy. And he'll pitch innings, I guess, half of the first inning, and he could pitch all the way to the 4th or 5th and come out of the game, and you're like, well, that's nice. I didn't have to absolutely scrap this bullpen to stay in a game that we're probably going to lose anyway. So there's value, guys. There's still low leverage in October. I know it doesn't feel like it, but there's going to be a situation where the Yankees are playing, same vice versa. Other team that we're playing, we're going to be up 7-0 in a game that ties the series, and they're like, well, we're not coming back. Who do we pitch? And some of them, they'll contemplate, do we bring out some reliever who stinks? Probably. We've got someone who actually can hold his own, and he's never going to come in the 8th or 9th when it's important. So love that. There's a reason that I was able to call that name out. When I saw him on the roster, I knew who you were going with.
Yeah, I mean, am I his biggest fan? You know I'm not. But
no, of course
I
not.
like to be fair, and I think he's pitched very well, and he deserves some credit tonight. That's what I would say.
Yeah, that's fair. And Cedric, we really appreciate the 10. Thank you. We don't see a lot of yellow, so
yes,
thank you for
Cedric.
the super, and also really appreciate you being a member at Yankees Unloaded as well. And Cedric says, thank you for what you guys are doing. No, thank you guys. I mean, without an audience, we're just two jabronis with $1,000 microphones talking to nobody. Thank you guys for being here. Obviously, bit of a longer show. Wasn't able to be there last night. Jake did a great job.
Thanks,
but Jake,
man.
yeah, let's get over to our diamond level voicemails. I've been waiting for this all day.
Yeah. So we got Guy to start, giving us our prediction. So this will be interesting.
Hello, everyone. I had a hard time picking some of the things out in this game. Rodon, I don't see even a little bit of a letdown. I think he relishes in being a 1A and not a 2. Coming off Max's brilliant game, Carlos will focus on doing the same, and I see the Yankees winning. On a side note, just a feeling, I can see the Yankees finishing a game back or possibly tied with the Blue Jays. I don't know why. I just see it. The Yankees will hit some tonight, and of course, I already mentioned winning this game. Just not as many runs as appears on paper. My first choice for a home run would be Trent Grisham, and hopefully we all get to see Judge get closer to 50. I see the Yankees being aggressive tonight, and I also see them making more mistakes tonight, and that keeps the game closer. I also thought we would see Cappy tonight, and Volpe's back in. Shades of things to come. Rodon will give us a solid 6+, and I'm going against the trend tonight and under 9 runs. All right.
So he nailed it. It was a 6-1 game. So
we were right about Judge. We were right about the under. We were right about, well, I mean, Grisham didn't homer, but he was 2 for 5, drove in a run. Grisham was good in this game.
That was actually almost exactly what I was thinking. My prediction was 8-3, though.
No, that was a great prediction, and also mentioned the aggressiveness. We can't gloss over that.
Yeah,
Cody Bellinger stole a base, and you also mentioned they don't care if they get thrown out. Well, Volpe also stole his 18th base of the season, so they were aggressive. It wasn't station to station. We need more consistency when it comes to that, and we're getting it. So, Guy, well done.
Yeah, and Volpe's slide was aggressive. Feet first, knocks the ball out. I don't know why they don't do that more. Just
I need to see more. No head first sliding. I don't need to see it anymore. I'm done.
You can't knock the ball out with your noggin, but you can knock it out with your cleats. And we saw today Gunnar Henderson, had it eaten up a little bit. But yeah, I think I don't mind the getting thrown out. I will say the pickoffs, we got to be better at that. Like Jazz getting tossed. Like I wasn't a big fan of that. And the last thing I was going to say, because I gave Boone a lot of credit for using the bullpen guys, and I didn't have an issue with the lineup the way a lot of other people did, although I love seeing Caballero in there. But here's what I will say, okay? I was annoyed that he didn't challenge that foul ball because I think it was close enough to at least review it. And if you're waiting there, do it for your starting pitcher. I mean, it's 7 innings, right? You're up 6-0. Like, why are you sitting on that challenge? You know what I mean? So
No,
I was a little annoyed by that because I felt like that was foul, Gary. That one angle, and Michael K even brought it up. I didn't even see chalk fly. Like, it was really close. But if it's really close, why can't we get another look at it? I just felt like they made a mistake on that. But it's a minor thing, but I like
agree.
to hit on everything. And I like to hit on things because we have a platform. I like to hit on things that are on our mind. And like
It was foul. I just thought
okay,
point blank
so,
it was foul.
yeah.
And you have to use your challenges. I understand well, maybe we can use it later in the game. I understand that. I get it. But at the same time, I think when challenges have to do with certain players, like if Aaron Judge gets hosed on a play and you very well think, well, we could win this challenge, I'm spending that challenge on Aaron Judge. If Giancarlo Stanton gets hosed on a play and I think Giancarlo is one of our hotter bats, he just got hosed on a play, I'm spending that challenge. I also think the player that you're spending the challenge on matters as well. I mean, if this is Caballero sprays the ball down the line, that's maybe a different conversation. But you're talking about one of our more important players on our roster and didn't get the benefit of the doubt on a call at all. And you've got a challenge to spend the damn thing.
Yeah, and of course, I would also look at it like, do it as if it did matter, right? Because you're telling me you're not going to review that if it's the postseason?
We've also lost games up 7 runs in the last inning of the game.
That too. So
they're all technically important, and I get it. In hindsight, Boone's probably looking at it saying, I would like to have a challenge there in case of an emergency, but you probably don't need it in case of emergency if you can take a run off the board. You know, you could take a situation, you can zap it out of thin air by making this challenge. They chose not to. So yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, and we have Kyle Malay here, and then we'll have Ninja Hot Dog, and we'll end the show.
Cool.
Hey guys, Kyle Malay here. Great win by the Yankees today. They're only down by 2 in the division. With 7 to go, the Blue Jays really have to collapse. And the Yankees have to win the rest of their games, I believe. At least 5 out of 7, and the Blue Jays have to lose 5 out of 7. The Blue Jays, they have a tough schedule. They got to play Boston and then I believe Tampa Bay again, and they're going to be tough to beat. So there's an outside chance we still get the division, but I'm not getting my hopes up unless it really happens. But just a good game tonight. Great game by Rodon, and Judge and Stanton both with a home run. I don't even know their record. Their record is good whenever they both hit a home run in the same game.
50-7.
Yeah, let's go win the game tomorrow. Hopefully the Blue Jays lose again tomorrow and get it down to 1. Once it gets down to 1 game, then I'm gonna be excited. But all right, let's all have a good night and go Yankees.
Appreciate you, Kyle.
He's already excited. No, he's already excited. We're all excited. It's an opportunity. And yeah, Josh, I was literally just about to throw you up on the screen. So tomorrow, you're talking Schlittler, Bradish. Guys, I'm probably looking at this. I think this is advantage Cam Schlittler. I do. I think this is what he was made for. He doesn't typically, he'll go out there and he's been making adjustments on the fly and you see those in real time. I have a lot of faith in this start. I do. I think this Baltimore team's a wounded dog. Let's go put him down.
Yeah, so I have the numbers here. Bradish is not allowed a home run to any Yankee in the lineup on this team. He pitches really well against them for the most part. You have Judge, who in 9 plate appearances, only 5 at-bats. He has 3 walks. He has not gotten a hit. You've only had hits from Stanton, 1, Caballero, 1, and then Goldschmidt has 2, and Volpe has 1. But I think things are going to change. Bradish has been good against the Yankees, but I think things are going to change. I think the way the Yankees are playing right now, and I'm not talking about because they did lose a game in this series, right? And they did not show up in that game offensively. But I think the macro, the way the Yankees are playing since August 6th, shows me that they're going to win this game. They're going to take care of business. I actually do think Toronto's going to lose tomorrow. I think Walker's going to throw a gem. I think he's going to bounce back from. I'm hitting you with a double whammy here. I
love that.
I think Walker's going to bounce back from a blow-up outing. I think Kansas City knows they need a Hail Mary, but that we've also seen a few Hail Marys that have gone down and actually worked in the NFL the last 3 years. So anything's possible in sports, and they've already won 2 straight. I think they're going to sweep Toronto, and I think the Yankees are going to get the job done tomorrow, and I think Schlittler's going to look good. I think Bradish is going to look good, but I think the Yankees do just enough to win this game. I'm going to say they win a close one. I'm going to go 5-4 tomorrow.
Okay, I'm going to say it's going to be lower scoring. Obviously, I'm with JC. I hope you're right on both counts. But I think this game's going to be lower scoring. You mentioned the numbers. The Yankees just don't hit against Bradish. But having said that, Bradish loves to use his breaking ball, a lot of sliders. You can run. You can run on a guy. You get to first base. The way this Yankees team's playing, if someone's going to flip you sliders all day long and force you to lay off those pitches, why don't you get the ball rolling and start moving on the bases and force a catcher, throw the ball to a base on a breaking ball? This is the beauty in playing a more aggressive way instead of trying to hit home runs all the time. So I'm going to say 4-3 win, 3-2 win, somewhere in that ballpark. It's going to be low scoring, and the Yankees have to find a way to manufacture a run, probably in the 6th or 7th inning of this game, and close it down from there. So I'll be interested to see what our bullpen does tomorrow. I mean, that's going to be the key. Go Yanks.
Yeah, and by the way, I do think I think Judge hits his 50th tomorrow, despite not having great success against Bradish.
That would feel good.
He's just in that zone. I think that's ultimately what's going to propel the Yankees. He hits his 50th. It'll probably end up being like a 3-0 game. Bradish pitches well the rest of the way. Then the bullpen comes in. Yankees get 2 more runs. Yankees bullpen, I think, is due to give up some runs because they've been pretty good as of late. I think they'll give up some runs, and I end up with 5-4. So,
okay.
Yeah. All right. Last but not least, Ninja Hot Dog.
Good win today. The Yankees have once again stat padded in another game. But that's besides the point. We now have 2 out of the series, which is good. I think that we may have a potential run in the division. Right now, I see we're only 2 games back. However, I don't think we should really focus on the division that much right now. I think that's just going to be a big extra stress. I think we should worry about clinching the wild card right now and then see if we have potential for the division. Either way, Judge and Stanton have gotten home runs. I noticed Judge popped off a lot in September. Hopefully this year, for once, he can take his talents over into the very important month of October. But nonetheless, with still Stanton, this is what he's for. Because Stanton is extremely clutch. He got another home run today, which is great. Also, Rodon, I see here, went 7 innings pitched, which is very impressive with 8 strikeouts and only 1 run was giving up. And so I'm really glad to see that Rodon had it today. Often he can be unreliable. However, today we had it. He didn't even give up any home runs. I've liked to call him Carlos Home Rondon in the past, but maybe we can move past it. Good win today. Let's keep this going. Fire Baboon.
Okay, Jake. First of all, thank you for the voicemail. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
So I figured out exactly what the Yankees are going to do tomorrow. Jake, you've mentioned that not a lot of guys have success in our lineup. So what that should mean is if you don't have a ton of success, whether it be bench, starters, none of it, you're probably going to go defense. And when you've got a player like Cam Schlittler on the mound, this is a young player. You don't want any inning to get out of hand, anything to happen that wasn't supposed to happen in the field. I think Ryan McMahon will play tomorrow. Despite how he's hitting, he should start tomorrow. Now, having said this,
I agree.
when I look up at Caballero is the one player who's had any level of success, right? He's driven in a run, against Bradish. I think Caballero should be the shortstop tomorrow, and this may sound like a negative thing for Anthony Volpe. It is not that. Anthony Volpe, in his 8 at-bats against Bradish, is hitting 125 with an ops of 375. So he's slapped a single, in between there, but nothing to commit damage, none of that. And obviously the glove isn't that much better than Caballero, if better at all. Caballero should be the starting shortstop tomorrow. I think this is simply a timeshare at short. And so I think that's what they do. This should be a low-scoring game. You set your lineup for a low-scoring game, and I think that's the best way to do it. Put speed in the lineup, put defense in there.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think we're going to see Caballero. I think we're going to see Ryan McMahon. I think we're going to see Paul Goldschmidt at first and Ben Rice at catcher again. So
interesting.
I mean, Wells he only has 2 at-bats, but it's not like he has done anything against Bradish where it's like, oh, well, you got to have Wells in there. Yeah, I think that's kind of where we stand right now. I told you, I really do think, whether I agree or disagree, although I don't really disagree with it, Goldschmidt's been hitting better against righties in the micro, obviously not the macro, but in the short term, he's been hitting better against righties. Yeah. They're ramping him up. It's so obvious to me. They're trying to get whatever they can out of him. No pun intended. But this is the same team that got us hyped for Anthony Rizzo last year. Remember? Hyped. And Anthony Rizzo had some key moments in the postseason. So I'm not going to sit here and act like he didn't contribute. Well, if we were going crazy for Anthony Rizzo, well, you have a really good problem to have at first base because you have Paul Goldschmidt and Ben Rice. And Paul Goldschmidt,
they're both performing, then great.
Yeah, we've gotten on Paul Goldschmidt, but it's like he's not having a bad year, all things considered. So that's kind of the thing for me. I think we're going to see Goldschmidt in the lineup. I think Ben Rice is going to catch. I think they're content giving Austin Wells another day, and then if it works out, then he'll play. But that's really how I see it. Grisham hasn't had any luck against Bradish, but to your point about the defensive part with a young pitcher, I just don't think you can play Jason Dominguez in this one. So,
I was just about to tell you, if you're playing in Baltimore, Jason Dominguez is likely to play in left field. With those dimensions, do I want him in that left field?
No,
I just don't. Now, again, he could play tomorrow and go against the grain of what we're saying and make a difference with the bat. I certainly could believe that. He'll be hitting lefty. But you're taking the gamble with a young pitcher on the mound that a play maybe isn't made at the wall, you get a bad bounce out there, and he impacts the game in a negative way. I keep Jason Dominguez out of tomorrow's game. Maybe we see him out there. We have no idea. He's been a part-time player. He's been ready. He's been professional. But, Jake, I keep him out of there. I keep Volpe out of there. I get Caballero at shortstop. I think these are the right moves to make, but we'll see what they do.
Yeah, we'll definitely see what they do. Let's say, how about this? Drop quality over quantity in the chat. Reason being, you were talking about 3 for 5 with runners in scoring position. I don't need the runners in scoring position opportunities to be in the 12s if it's 0 for 12, right? That's not impressive to me. When you have those opportunities, get quality at bats. Don't give me quantity. So, yeah, drop quality over quantity in the chat. And be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. We do this show every single night after a Yankee game. And be sure to be sure to hype the video, and drop a comment. Again, that comment being whatever you want, but also so we know you made it to this point. Quality over quantity.
Yeah, appreciate all the supers, all the support from our channel, and obviously all the likes. Be sure to like this video.